Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Adrianne Lenker Bright Future. I remember when Adrianne Lenker and her solo album Songs was selected as my 2020 anniversary review, and how much I wound up wishing the album had worked for me in the same way it had for so many others. It wasn't even that it was bad, I got the fundamental appeal, I heard the quality, but just this cluster of lingering issues across the board kept me from fully embracing it. Now, given that this album was billed as shifting slightly away from folk for something a little bit more country, well, okay, again, I had my doubts. I wasn't exactly wild for when Big Thief tried their country adventure in 2022, but when again you see this much critical acclaim, I wanted to give her another proper try, and I'll say it, I like this more. I'm closer to getting some of that emotional resonance. Now, part of this is just coming around on Lenker's voice a little more. There's more character to her performance. It doesn't feel as studied to me. The emotionality is a little more raw around the edges as she indulges more of her lower register and even some twang. Probably the only way Ruined would be so heartrending to close out the album. But you know what? More than that, there's simply a stronger sense of structure and focus on melodic hooks this time around. I would consider this album more accessible, maybe beholden a bit to some conventions of country folk, but also with the feel that, while she'll let a track sprawl like the opener Real House, it feels more motivated. I question it as an opener to establish momentum on the album, but Real House is allowed to feel almost like a spare ramble against the muffled piano to capture that feel of years of yearning blurring together, or how the homespun acoustics of Free Pleasure capture some of those little moments, or hell, maybe it's just the yearning fiddle that fleshes out the tones behind Sadness as a Gift or Evol, or how she spins Vampire Empire, originally cut by Big Thief as a standalone song, into a jangling solo cut, or how the subtle interplay of Candleflame and Cell Phone Says manages to really connect for me, bookending that impressively sticky banjo melody on Already Lost, probably one of the album's big highlights for me. Now, the ramshackle production choices can hit a few awkward notes beyond the iffy fidelity of vocal pickups from song to song, like some of the goopy guitar textures on Fool that clashes rather oddly with some of the cleaner vocal pickups, but with more listens, it didn't matter as much as I was personally expecting to me. The warm and generally inviting organic feel just kept tugging me on through. But as always, when it's this minimalist, it's gotta come back to the songwriting. And while Songs was very much linked to the throes of a breakup, Bright Future on the surface seems to almost live up to its title, where the scope of time and possibilities stretch out over the album, and the love songs feel more burnished and lived in. You'll get those cuter moments of small intimacy and passion that the larger world often just subsumes, but there's a more charged, back and forth intensity to songs like Vampire Empire, and especially Evol, that reflect relationships that necessarily develop some give and take, and the vulnerability that comes in that cyclical connection. I like how the album doesn't default to the pastoralism. There is a concept of greater distance, be it physical on Cell Phone Says or temporal on Sadness as a Gift, that lets that yearning connection really spark, where you're sold on what's actually there, only for Ruin to capture the reality where the connection isn't fully made, or maybe it's slipped away, mentioned between the lines on a couple other songs. And for as much as a bright future is very possible, the desperate relief at the realization or the potential loss is all the more impactful before it all slips away. For as much as Songs played with that distance and the fascination of what creates that space and what can bridge it, which I said back in the review, Bright Future grounds it in a much firmer thematic arc and a more intensely realized set of emotional stakes. Part of that through more immediate song structures and delivery. It feels more tangible, less coincidental to the isolation of Songs' recording, and thus more maturely realized. So as a whole, yeah, you know what? I think I actually might get it now. It's a legit excellent singer-songwriter album. A refinement rather than a reinvention, but sometimes that's all you need. Not gonna say I'm fully on the Big Thief bandwagon, but Lenker actually did deliver something close to greatness here. Going forward, I can see her living up to this album's title. If you haven't heard this, check it out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, and subscribe. Again, I know I've been on the outside looking in with Adrianne Lenker for a while now. I hope this actually is going to be a bit more of a window in going forward. Might go back to those previous albums, see if they hit a little better, because this one actually really connected. Beyond that, though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if y'all want to get involved in impacting my schedule, or just arguing with me more directly on my Discord, or hell, just be nice, support the channel, link to my Patreon right over there. Once again, don't feel obligated. Tough times, I understand. Options available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.